I'm very sensitive to the welfare of animals and the sanctity of all life. But what's happening to these poor animals? Somebody's got to be helping these ranchers, and nobody was helping them. Law enforcement couldn't do anything. There was no scientific organizations that were interested in it. But because of the amount of aerial activity we were experiencing, we had major waves of UFOs from end of 92 all the way to almost 99. So about a 6-7 year period, there were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of sightings. Linda Howe and Chuck Zukowski and other investigators are very intrigued by the sensational side of this, which only represents 2 to 5% of the data. I think it's going to be quasi-military. I think it's multinational. I think it's more of like along the lines of a militarized CDC or NIH, the Centers for Disease Control, or the National Institutes of Health. There may be some sort of secret clandestine branch of one of those two organizations, or one we don't even know about, that's monitoring the environment, and they're very, very good at what they do. There's been a number of cases where veterinary pathologists, world-class veterinary pathologists, and I don't use the term lightly, John Waterhouse actually at Iowa State, he took a calf that was freshly mutilated and discovered, quickly brought it to the forensic lab in the veterinary college, and side by side duplicated the cuts that were on the calf. He was able to do them all, but he said whoever did the ones that got the tongue out, he said, man, whoever that was really talented. I am a world-class surgeon, and he actually even used that. And he said, if somebody could duplicate what I did, these are really seasoned professionals doing this.
I said, in your viewpoint, could any of this stuff not been done by humans? And he said, no. He said, however, you have to know exactly what you're doing, you have to be able to do it very quickly, and you have to be an expert veterinarian and know anatomy to the point where you can do it in the dark.
Dr. Altshuler, who was the only bona fide scientist in the early days who looked into this, who was a very good friend of mine, did the original Snippy the horse case in Colorado back in the 60s, late 60s. He looked into this and he came to the conclusion that they were paramilitary human operations masquerading as alien that were doing this for their psychological warfare value, but also to test out systems and test human response, media and human response. Now, interestingly, they were also getting raw materials for some of their underground bases and labs where they were taking certain parts of the animal that had a high mitotic index, meaning that the cells reproduce quickly, like the tongue, the rectum, the sex organs, and what have you, for things they were doing that were hideous experiments in underground facilities.
Towering over the San